A couple things. Daniel and I are going to talk about VPG's The Hometown Helper. But before I do that, I did want to talk a little bit about, and I don't want to exhaust the subject, but about the spreader sticker. For me, I'm a guy, and it takes us a lot more to learn things than it does women. Women know everything right away. But for us guys, one thing that really helps me is, it's easy to preach this stuff and tell you this is what you need to do, but sometimes to think about the mode of action of how this works can be really helpful. So today's a rainy day in Boise, right?
I think Austin has it.
And so on your windshield driving here, you see the little droplet of water, and when it rolls down your windshield, each drop of water has an electric charge to it. The front rounded end is the positive charge. The tail of the droplet as it goes down is the negative charge. Now in the professional turf side of the business, a lot of lawn applicators, all that, the surfactants we talk about, when it says on the label, it'll say non-ionic surfactant for the full name of it. What that surfactant does is it removes that charge. Therefore, you don't have the head of it, you don't have the tail, it just flattens it out. And that's the big difference between surfactant, adding a surfactant, and like they said, that water will just beat off the foliage. One of the things too about detergents, and they might have covered this, but a lot of the consumers say, oh, I've got some soap, I'll use that. That will help it stick to the foliage, but the detergents have a lot of things in there that can burn the foliage as well. So it's really best to go with a surfactant like the spreader sticker. So if you can explain that part of it to the consumer, they get it in their head a little bit more, how it just removes that electric charge, it flattens that out and sticks to the foliage. So that's my input on that. The only other thing that I have is, how many here were here last year at the training we did last year? Okay. Last year we had a gentleman by the name of Ken Klopp. He did a presentation on a computer system called the Perfect Plant. And the Perfect Plant it originally started as a system in which the consumer could walk into your store and or even go to your website, and if they're looking for a 3-foot tall bush that has a yellow flower, they can click on those, and then it would list what you have in inventory that grows 3 foot, has a yellow flower, and they can kind of pick those different things. Well, then what Ken had done is he'd added a bug and weed finder to that as well. So if a consumer is looking for a weed with a yellow flower, it'll pull up a dandelion and anything else, and they can look at that picture and say, oh, that's a problem I have, and then it would associate it with a product that would control that, and the same with the insects. So Gard'n got behind that, and we loaded our top 100 selling SKUs. 95% of those were all VPG products. There were a few other product lines that had a few products in there as well. But what Ken has done this year is he's also added diseases to it, because that was a lot of feedback that we got from our meetings last year. Say, what about diseases? So he has added that. Well, in doing this, VPG also was doing some beta testing on the same thing with the Perfect Plant. So Gard'n jumped in on it. VPG was testing it. This year, VPG is moving forward with it, and they're calling it the Hometown Helper. So Gard'n is going to step back, and if any of you signed up through Gard'n last year, we're going to allow you just to sign up with VPG, because we're going to just stay out of it, because it's the exact same program, it's getting better, but we're supporting VPG in this 100%. And Daniel can talk to you a little bit about how how co-op can help you with this.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about how you guys earn co-op 6% of all the purchases that you guys make. Anybody take advantage of our wearable program? Charlie, yeah. So in addition to your radio and TV and Facebook and all that traditional advertising, we have a co-op for wearables. We'll pay 50% up to $500 every year.
Who doesn't know what wearables mean?
T-shirts, caps, aprons.
See that?
That's right. You put a Natural Guard logo on your sleeve or a Fertilome logo on your sleeve. We want your logo to be front and center, but you put our product line in there. I have some dealers that'll put on their sleeve, ask me about root stimulator. They're talking to the customer about hanging baskets, and while they're talking to the customer, they're looking at their shirt and they say, well, tell me about root stimulator. It just starts the conversation. Another really popular one is for weed-free zone. Give a weed an inch, it'll take a yard. I mean, there's a lot of different slogans out there, but the reason why I bring up the wearable program, like I said, we'll pay 50% up to $500, and that comes out of a different advertising budget than your traditional co-op. We will also do 50% up to $500 for the Hometown Helper. Now that does come out of your co-op funds. It's not a separate fund, but we will help co-op this. So certainly anybody who's interested can come and talk to me at the end. I can give out these pamphlets. A good example of how this is helpful. You may have a customer that comes in and they're holding a weed with the yellow flower on it, and it's a dandelion, and they come in and say, I've got crabgrass. It's like crabgrass is the boogeyman of all the weeds in your lawn. And you're able to take that Hometown Helper, look up a dandelion, and they say, yeah, that's exactly what I've got. And it's going to pull up the exact products that you have on your shelf that are going to be labeled for dandelions. These Hometown Helpers are going to come preloaded with all 350 plus SKU items from VPG, but you're able to go behind the scenes and gray out any item that you may not carry in your store. If you have multiple stores and you have different products in those stores, you can have it set up to where when the customer comes into one particular store, store A, it's only going to show those products on that shelf, which is different from store B. You can have this on a kiosk in your store, which can provide, and that does bring the price up some more. You can have it on everyone's phone. In fact, on the back here, if you scan this with a QR scanner on your phone, or if you have an Apple, you just scan it with the camera feature, that'll bring you to a demo. All right. You can have iPads. You can have all these different things. You can have this on your website. The customer may be sitting at home, sitting on their sofa and saying, "Hey, I want to figure out what insects I have in my vegetable garden. I want to figure out what products I need to get rid of these weeds." And they'll come into your store with, I need these 5 items. And once again, where can they pick up these items? Only at Independence. They're not going to be able to walk into a Lowe's or Home Depot and say, I need a bottle of weed-free zone. They're not going to know what they're talking about. All right, so it's really, really helpful. It's something, like I said, you can add to your website. You can have all this access. It's also great for, new staff. They may not know how to get rid of aphids on a tomato plant, but they can type in aphids and single out, it's in my vegetable garden. It's going to say triple action or whatever other items that you might offer. So really, really useful. It gets you and the homeowner on the same page. Make sure you're talking about the same thing. Because if they didn't bring in that dandelion and they were calling it crabgrass and you sell them a product to get rid of crabgrass, or vice versa, you're not going to get rid of that issue. And who gets the blame? Unfortunately, absolutely. So hopefully that'll be a good, helpful tool for you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions about this, feel free to come and talk to me about it. Take a pamphlet, try out the demo. All of Ken's information is down here. He's very easy to get a hold of. Like they were saying, everybody was asking about funguses, and he was kind of avoiding funguses there in the beginning because a lot of fungus issues can look like malnourished issues. Maybe the plant's not getting enough nitrogen or whatnot. But he's very receptive. I mean, everybody was saying, we need lawn funguses on here. We need all this and that. So certainly reach out to him. Let him know what you want out of this. He's creating this for you guys. So hopefully that'll be something really helpful, and we'll get you guys to spend your co-op dollars. So I think that's everything I've got for you. I believe, Robert, are we going to go ahead and give away some prizes?
We are.
Excellent.